April 24th Board of Directors meeting is called to order. First, I would like to ask our interpreters to explain how to access interpretation. Please go ahead.
Good morning. To use the interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, World, and select English as your language. If you're joining through the interpretación y luego el idioma. Si en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, la recepcionista en el vestíbulo.
Thank you. Now I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of the San Diego region have historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples, who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States. From 4 cultural groups, the Comayagüeño, the Luiseño, the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the Sanday community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. Now please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Michael, can you please confirm quorum?
We have a quorum, Chair.
Very good. Let's move on to non-agenda public comment. How many do we have?
Chair, if you're online, please raise your hand now. We have 4 in person and we have 3 online.
Very good.
Purita Javier, Purita followed by Caesar.
Cesar Javier, 5232 Street View Drive, San Diego, for reaching on this air district who found no violations of either air quality standards or city code. I understand you are interested in pursuing policy changes and invite you to contact our our Director of Policy, Brenda Dentino, who can answer any questions about the process of updating city codes. He can be contacted at 619-532. Okay, if you have any additional concerns that come out, please do not hesitate to contact Ben Mendoza.
Mr. Rivera, aspiring mayor, along with Councilor Acaba, then the environmental chair working committee, visit. They would rather look after the businesses, job creator, than health and safety of humans. The same visit to what Madam Vivian presented in this forum. People are sick and dying. Mama Gire, where are you? And the city, as a frontliner in responsibility and accountability, did you ignore it? Crime against society, pollution. And Ardis had registered 6 already. I want the county officials. We expect have you done, Councilor Acaba? Mom Vivian, who has experienced the exposure to crisis like the pollution crisis. My God, my God.
Thank you. Next is Truth, followed by allegedly Audra.
Thank you, Sandak.
in historical moments, on April 14th, 2023, I called into a Santa meeting for the first time and created chuckles by playing the Star Wars theme. And I don't believe anyone had played a clip at the time, let alone tell off publicly the Soviet dictator CEO the way he deserved. Then I attended in person and it was all downhill from there, downhill for the bad guys, of course. In conflicts of interest, remember how Hamul let Sandbag use their casino for their retreat at no charge? A conflict of interest has already appeared. The Board of Supervisors, specifically Joel, Manuela, and Tara, have been using the Public Special Events Trust Fund to funnel money to their private campaign coffers, including thousands from the Hamul Indian Village. In other legal issues, the retreat was not recorded this year. He attached a legal link that's legally inaccurate, and Sandbag is going to get sued. Because one, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a client of Sandbag or any law firm. And two, all of the information from public records requests, our public Sandbag has hired both board and so-called independent counsel. The legal waters have obviously been muddied. Not my problem. Follow the law. And while I have a few seconds, I'm going to say it's my issues. Thank you.
In the title you hold. Probably going to be going into famines and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get rations, right, with all of these things. And, you know, more and more people are becoming homeless. Driving, so we're getting really down to, you know, the nuts and bolts of what you guys have been pushing for a very long time. So I just want to give you guys a round of applause for doing that. And I'm just wondering if at any point you guys are ready to course correct and just quit doing that. And quit, you know, having people suffer at the cost of your fraud, waste, and abuse that you guys engage in on a regular basis. We have a rogue government that has gone against the people, and it's very disturbing to see that so many people are suffering, and nobody really cares. You guys sit here and you virtue signal, you gaslight the public, and tell us that you do, but it is evident to look at the world around us that you don't. And these are all choices that you guys make on a daily basis to push lies that are very dangerous to people. People shouldn't be losing their lives. We shouldn't have the world around us look like this because of people that are in power that just love. This is what's happening. This is how you get to the New World Order that everybody's been pushing for a very long time. And you guys are puppets in that, so it's interesting because the elite that are telling you to do all the things you're doing here don't care about you. And they're getting you to do all of these things for them, to us. But you always have a choice.
Huge debt burdens and deficits, and people are unlikely to trust you with your inflated projections, corruption, unemployment, all that. Things are getting better, but you keep backsliding. Why do you expect people to give you all the funds or taxes you beg for? The revenue keeps getting delayed. The Los Angeles special purpose funds you need. If there's a budget shortfall, money doesn't come on time or even gets clawed back, you will be scrambling. Then, like so much around the county, the outrageous bus and train fare hikes of Texas, increasing the inflationary spiral on all of us.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks for the meeting today. Cesar and Purita Javier, it sounds like they're making some sort of progress. They're getting feedback about their issue. It's my feeling that as the the current permit holder has a seniority in why he can more easily get a permit time after time, I'm hoping there can be some sort of establishment that as the Javiers have been living in the area for a number of years also and have a certain seniority to the area, that can grant them some sort of hearing process to review again the current permit. Some sort of forgiveness practice to allow a hearing is needed, or just some sort of ways to make that a legal process. Good luck what to do that. the Javieres have seniority and living there a long time, and they've done a lot of work. Good luck in the effort that this could be addressed. Good luck to Andrea Ebbing. She has a really difficult situation that I think we're going to have to review some of our best data collection center. And we got to find out what that is. And good luck in doing that. And to conclude, I'm really concerned about the rate and to keep the rate hikes for the future of transit reasonable, but there's problems there.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our last public comment is Andrea Ebbing.
Hi, this is Andrea Ebbing, and I wanted to just remind everybody that Rebecca Jones did come up with a really good idea to audit Argus through the DOJ. Just remind everybody that writing a memo to the DOJ doesn't take, 15 people and weeks. I do it daily. But I do realize that going up against this RICO enterprise is probably intimidating for several reasons, because they will murder you. I mean, there's actually a website coming out that's going to expose everything. But I do want to take a minute to remember some of the folks who we've lost in the county and in the city, like the deputy district attorney who did not shoot herself in front of a police officer in traffic stop, the DA secretary who did not overdose on drugs and overdose her granddaughter, your DA who was a rising star and died, the Lemon Grove City Council member that died suddenly, the National City manager that died suddenly, Stephen Kelly, the clerk for the appeals court, Dan McAllister. He retired 17 months early with no term limits, and nobody knows how he died. Officer suicide, a criminologist pushed to suicide, a San Diego sergeant accused of sex crimes found dead. Let's see here. San Diego police officer dies outside of River County Jail after DUI. A lot of questions, a lot of resignations. Leslie Lord, why did she kill herself? Oceanside councilman dead. Chula Vista council member dead. Felony charges against Luke Schaefer. Felony charges against Tony Blaine. So you either get knocked out, you get taken out, or you get felony charged. Which one is it, Summer Steffen and your goons? Come on, you think you're really, really tough with all these sudden disappearances? You're a mob boss. Get out.
Thank you. Your time has expired. That concludes our public comment, Chair.
Thanks, Michael. We're on to member non-agenda public comments. We'll start with Mayor Jones.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just wanted to bring to your attention, and I really don't like to bring this up. I don't like when I see last minute changes to the agenda. I know we had received on Tuesday, I print out my agenda usually Tuesday, and I did print my agenda out. But there was a change to unnoted, and I'm not sure when it even happened, but I noticed it noted anywhere, and I
for coming out this month and giving us a nice comprehensive roundtable with the community on how to reconnect communities. Thank you. I believe you'll be coming back for another one.
Great, good to hear. All right. As a reminder, every year the Office of the Independent Performance Auditor conducts an annual assessment to identify risks that could prevent Sandag from achieving its goals. This process then informs the creation of the OIPA's annual plan. This year, through an online survey, the Independent Performance Auditor is providing an opportunity for the public to share what high-risk areas of Sandag they'd like to see audited by OIPA in the coming year. So you see there's a QR code right there. So today's the last day open to the public, so scan the QR code. We'll leave it up for a little bit and take the survey. I'll turn it over to Mario for his update.
Thank you, Chair. As most of you must be aware, if not all of you, MTSN North County Transit boards voted to approve the fare increase recommendation for the Transportation Committee. A reminder, the Sandag Board has delegated the authority to the Transportation Committee to amend the regional ordinance. So there will be two readings on The second reading, it will be the vote, so one will be in May, another one in June, to consider the fair recommendations. Hearing in support of SB 1087. Some of you may know liability of the service in the. We did discuss the Lausanne agency, and our member here at SANDAC is. And I did meet with her, and we will be meeting the other three representatives of the Lausanne that represent each on the CalSTA working group regarding also the Lausanne corridor. Let's remember that the transportation bill, federal transportation bill that brings most of the funding, or at least half of the funding efforts, go through a continuous. But this is the moment where San Diego can bring in its needs, its priorities, so it could be considered in the transportation bill. We did sign the TCA agreement to partner with them on the back office. Regarding tolling, I also have to report that we met with the city of Chula Vista staff and city manager. I'm not going to put words on the city managers. Ideas and scenarios to bring to the board as you mandated us for the early payoffs. So our chief financial officer and our capital programs senior director have been really working actively. We've been talking with Caltrans, so I think information to bring in and items to be considered by the board. As you we're going to start the second phase, so we can bring in a wholesale proposal on how we can get better organized and how we can have 21st century, not the 20th century SANDAC. So that's important. A good example is there are now 3 people who report to the board. Myself, the CEO, the general counsel, and the independent auditor, but yet there's no clear policies that demarks our roles and responsibilities within the agency and what you wish to say. So that's an opportunity where we need to draft those items, and like those are many, many areas of opportunities in subject matter, so we can bring in and have some workshops with the board and with the different committees and the executive committee more than anything. So those are some important things that we're working on. To bike 20 miles, you can participate in a pit stop. There's many, many ways to do that. About the SB 79 maps, we are working on evaluating the requirements in advance of releasing our map. So we're still working on that and trying to understand the different things that are out there. So hopefully we'll be releasing a map later this year. That concludes my report.
Very good, thank you. We'll now move to the consent agenda. Michael, any public comments on consent, and how many?
We do have public comment, Chair. We have 3 in person. If you're online, please raise your hand now. And we have 3 online. Please, commenters that are not related to the consent agenda, you will be asked to stay on topic. If you do not stay on topic, you will be muted.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
We are not competing with you philosophers as far as the 10 fingers intelligences, but we do share with you, work together. 3.1, reflect the product of processes in the delivery of public goods in mobility, transportation, circulation, and that includes communication. It's a kilometer post which is expected, meant onward, expectant of intended consequence. The question is, what about the unintended consequence? Are we ready? Are we prepared? Again and again, we can never defeat nature, but we could only protect ourselves. And this is true to, what is that city? Solana Beach City, where the geographic pie is being chipped by nature. And we suggested that they should start moving those humans, residents, somewhere safer. 2, 3.3, 3.5, we could only update by these great thinkers. And the remaining 4.
Has expired. Next is Truth,
They are
followed by
not.
allegedly Audra.
Thank you.
Please state the consent agenda item you were speaking to.
Item 3.1, the minutes say Lisa and Joe were absent, and no offense, but I was right last year when I said Minto should be chaired. Sorry. However, yet we're stuck with C Team Ron for now. Oh, but I don't know what happened. The one time I was going to say something nice about Minto, he's not here. Too bad. Item 3.2, this pack list contains audit and transportation, but what happened to public safety? It was the same day as transportation. And in a way, though, I kind of understand because I totally forgot about it too. I was busy with pizza. Item 3.3, $11.4 million in securities purchased, aka gambling with our tax dollars, including $3.5 million in nefarious big pharma company AbbVie Inc., owned by Abbott Labs, known for their experimental and faulty COVID test. And despite dodging American taxes by registering their intellectual property in Bermuda, they're now in business with the federal government, getting a $100 billion investment. They also get to be exempt from tariffs and pricing mandates. We call that free trade fascism. I do not support any investment. Union-controlled RTIP, is that accurate that the empty North City bikeways are costing over $104 million so far? Item 3.4, why did FACT get their grant almost doubled to $617,000? I do not support buying cars or paying for anyone's mileage with our tax dollars, especially with zero justifications, and especially not for corrupt NGO fraudsters. Jewish Family Services does not deserve $1.2 million of our tax dollars. They deserve prison for human trafficking. Item 3.5, I'm not surprised that Omar and Madahi are assigned to this project because those two will lie to justify anything. No to putting 3.5 miles of delayed bike lanes on dangerous and narrow avenues, spending probably $30 million on something nobody's going to use because of dangerous car and trolley traffic, drug encampments, and fentanyl pipes lining the streets. And add to that the continued lack of transparency that Rebecca brought up. Item 3.6, sad that nobody wants or can join audit as a public member. I guess the double standards on qualifications, along with the catering, isn't enough of a sell.
Next is allegedly Audra, followed by Paula Bowles online. Please state the consent agenda item you're speaking to.
All right, more fraud, waste, and abuse. 3.5, and you guys are talking about Bike Anywhere Day on Bike Lanes to Nowhere. It's pretty ridiculous. The amount of money that we're spending on these stupid bike lanes. I mean, just right now with this item, it's like 5.815440 per mile. 5.8 million a mile. That sounds good, right? Just crumbles. Anywho, you can't trust this audit committee at OIPA because they're supposed to be identifying risks. Well, they're putting Sandag at risk by getting into contracts with the Tyler Technologies ERP system. There's 18 federal lawsuits that are currently happening for contractual issues involving controversy over their claims of their projected their project delays. There's ballooning costs, broken promises regarding the technology capabilities. I mean, it made it harder for you guys to even write checks. And you have to be trained to use this kind of system, and there's already been data breaches, failed implementation, and they want the monopoly on these contracts because, you know, they're sitting there and they're engaging with BlackRock and Vanguard. Those are their investors. So even if there is a ransomware attack or a breach of data, it's internally happening when you have entities that are investing like that. So it's like, we don't need to be protecting ourselves in that way when we have internal things happening where this data can be used very nefariously. And it's like, you guys don't even care about this stuff. And it's ridiculous because you spend a bunch of our money, especially like on this fucking bike lanes. And it's like, when are we gonna actually do something that is beneficial to the people? I mean, you guys won't even acknowledge the chemtrails, the geoengineering and weather modification that's totally destroying our planet, yet you sit here and you virtue signal like you want to save it.
Next is Paula Bold online, followed by Consuelo.
Thanks, Paula Bold. 3.5, your $15.8 million bike-wise project. They want $3 million more, over $5 million per mile for something fuel use and does not enhance safety a bit. Then the chart says progress date is 66%. Yet under major milestones, it says the project is open and construction is complete. The chart below says you'll budgeted construction costs out to 2028. Now, I do not get what the total of 15 or 18 million project is 30 million. Something stinks here. 3.6 audit appointments. You have 2 applications for the open seats, but want more, delaying the appointment of members who may have new progressive ideas. Typical. You also need to follow the Brown Act requirements, post agenda items 72 hours in advance. CTOI. I see the Transportation Committee, 3.2 by the way. I see the Transportation Committee approved huge increases in MTS and NCDD fares, barely affordable to most in this high rent era when we're teetering on the brink of recession. Policymakers like to approve things without really thinking through the consequences, like more cars on the road, more hate for government, more people who can't afford trips to the grocery or clothing store, maybe more homeless. 3.4, revised call for project. Most of the additions seem reasonable, but require you granting 4 vehicles to no homes.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next is Consuelo, followed by our last public comment, Blair Beekman. Consuelo, go ahead. You're self-muted.
Okay, thank you. Consuelo here. So I will be focusing on 3.1. So it would be nice, responsible if the public is going to be unclear and intentionally difficult to navigate. And you know, I get documentation becomes a lot harder, especially when the public is actively exposing corruption, sick corruption, backroom deals, and, you know, the racket that many of these agencies have become. Yeah, that's when things start getting vague and summarized and conveniently left out. Okay, but the problem is the public still deserves to know what's being said in these meetings. People are not hearing this on the 6 o'clock news. That's a racket itself. This room may be one of the only places where truth actually surfaces, and even here it's getting buried in poor record keeping.
Approval for calendar items. Approval for calendar items on these items in some way. We want to create, you know, a special fund for monthly passes for low-income people as a way to supplement a really steep increase of $5 overall the next 2 years. It may just actually be in this upcoming first. It may just actually be in this upcoming first 6 months, or just in the fall. I think that's way too steep. And even though we have a program set up, there should be other ways to mitigate. There should be other ways to mitigate that and address that. To understand. You know, in the open, to give another 6 months to that's my major ask. That's what I can ask. That's my major ask. That's what I can ask of you guys. Control.
Thank you. Your time has expired. That concludes our public comment.
And I should wait to comment about it, correct?
Yeah, let's hear
Okay, yep.
what Clint has to say
Okay.
about what the changes were and all of that.
Can I also make one note? Can I also make one note? It's wrong in our iPads.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, perfect.
So it's going to be Dave and Clint. Anybody else? That's it.
Very good. Yeah. Our spouse Caesar's not in the room. Spouse Caesar's not in the room. Councilmember Contreras.
That was a typo. It's actually 326,000 of transit BPNS, and that's the required match to the RSTP funds. So that's what the transit BPNS is.
Okay, so in the past we used to have little items like blue. Sheets on our dais areas, so that we could notice that these changes were made. So I appreciate if that occurs in the future, so we can see that.
To bring in those federal dollars in, on our part. Did I put it correctly there, Clint?
Correct. So overall, there's a $4.5 million request increase in construction due to delays. There are two parts to that request. So one were the delays, and it's a little over $3 million that will enable to go in and break down. And the other 1.5 is funded by the city. It's a request as we're in that area. They had other work planned for the pavement rehab, and so we negotiated and worked through that. And so the city's funding that portion of the job for all the pavement work, including any soft costs required for overseeing that. So that's the 1.4 received coming from the city, and the rest were due to the delays. Before I hand over to Dave and kind of go through any specifics or questions you have, remind you, it's a bike project, 3.5 miles, roughly a mile of that has a separated cycle track. But with that, we also have a bunch of other safety improvements and pedestrian improvements, including 7 bent outs of the crosswalks to make it safer for pedestrians to cross. It's got 7 bus islands for pedestrians to cross. It's got 7 bus islands, so there's transit improvements in there. We have 2 peg crossings, and then we mentioned that the city improvements. And a lot of the delays in this, that $3 million, were actually really around those pedestrian improvements at the bulb outs and the traffic signals, which caused a lot of the delays to the project.
And I think two things that are important to discuss, more strategic here. One, I think eventually we need to brand bike projects when there are actually bike projects, but when they're corridor projects, we should brand them corridor projects, right? And with all the improvements, the pavement, all the other elements and the utilities, some of these projects that we have them branded bike projects are truly a broader corridor. Project. So that's something that we're going to change in bike projects in the future to focus more on those broader regional routes that you all have brought up in the different priority discussions. It's a journey to move to that, and also eventually, hopefully, as we're having the Transnet lock conversation about a grant program on the law, we at SANDAC will be focusing,
because that helps our understanding in our comments. Going forward here at the board. Mayor Sanchez.
Trying to remember
our new
how
stuff.
this,
Yeah.
Yes. No, I just want to hit the Ocean side. It's a regional project, but we also are counting on it for safe routes to school. It would still be considered a regional project.
Yes, for sure. But we do want to start focusing on those big projects that you have mentioned that have multiple connectivity. And again, this is where we're going to discussions of Transnet, because Transnet in this case is meeting its purpose. It's matching the federal funds, so we can bring in those bulk of federal funds as well as our partnership with the city. You know, we have to be nimble. There's no other matching funds that can be used, so that's why we're using them. But that's where we're trying to go, and hopefully the remainder of the year we will be able to have those discussions about those Transnet black boxes and how we focus and prioritize them.
Great, thank you very much.
So, Mara, it would probably be good to have a list of what are the regional bike lanes versus just the city ones, and then also the early action program bikes. That's
not just.
And we've come so far. I feel like we've done so much, and then something like this happens. Pull it up on my phone again, and then it's corrected. Pull it up on my phone again, and then it's correct in there in the way that has to change for the 325,911. I personally still have an issue with it because I don't let it. I personally still have an issue with it because I don't feel like we're being transparent, and I feel like, you know, kind of to the point of parent, and I feel like, you know, kind of to the point of if we're making changes, I feel like I don't care for the fact that we haven't noticed it.
We'll beef up on the quality control, quality assurance. Now, I also have to say the commitment is there and the cost increase is there. So how to cover it if we don't put the matching funds, we won't be able to bring in the federal funds into it. So it would really put complicate the input and expose the agency due to the delays. I truly understand your point.
Would it cause problems if we were simply to renotice this for the next?
And we can hold off on the rest of it.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to accept the money from San Diego and to bring it back to the next.
Early in the week, and I always check, and I have to say in the last 6 months, there's been 4 or 5 times where there's been editing to the changes to the package, and I think this is the worst case when that happens. Where we get last minute. So I really appreciate it. I was going to second the motion. I'll support it.
Already.
Mayor Jones for bringing that up. Funds that could go to very good use in areas that are not represented here. And I'm just going to give you an example of one where there have been 19 serious accidents within 6 months. 9 people were in critical condition after the accident, and nothing's been really done to improve the roadway. So it's like Wolford and Valley Center, and I just think the unincorporated areas are very much ignored or dismissed, is the sense that those communities have expressed. And this amount of money would go such a long way if we just focus on those higher priorities, which is public safety on the roadway. And then also, I just appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking responsibility for the misinformation or for the mix-up. But again, I did not feel comfortable with the road improvements being under the umbrella of the bike lane. So anyway, I just wanted to make a note on that. So let's pay attention to the unincorporated areas as well that are in desperate need of safer roadways. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll now move on to the OME.
The East Bonaventure project. So they'll hand over.
I think also just Andrea's getting ready to start. The strategy on the OME project it's been ongoing for 2 decades almost now. It's to always manage and reduce the exposure for the agency, as well as to deliver the project. So we think achieves that, especially at these times where the markets are a little bit unstable. So
We'll start with a brief project status. The project is currently under construction. Relocate 15 of those, and of course Caltrans. And currently, as a result of our delivery method, which is the construction manager general contractor delivery method, which enables these construction phasing to occur. And we're looking to request an award of that contract in July. And the focus of the second construction package, which I'll talk a little bit more about. Here are additional photographs of some of the construction activities underway. Able to now occupy. You can see some of the installation of those deep utilities. On Mexico side. We're also working on developing an operations and maintenance agreement with Mexico for the ITS components. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about construction phasing. Last fall, when we came to the board to approve the beginning of construction, we reported that we were working on a plan on how to phase construction, focus on passing. Some of this is the best approach to accelerate the overall delivery by using known available funds and to completely fund the proof of concept needed to help finance the rest of the POE, because we can start collecting fees and demonstrate the demand that this project will generate. This will benefit, we think, the future bond sale, as it would not have to rely solely on traffic and revenue and ratings from rating agencies, but in addition, an active open portion of the project. This approach also allows us to fully fund a component with existing funds, thus reducing financial exposure to the agency. In conclusion, the proposed actions will accelerate an open to traffic date and facilitate the future sale of bonds to build the rest of the project. A very important point to highlight here in these graphs you see is that the passenger facility is 1/3 of the cost of the port of entry, while simultaneously it is anticipated to bring 2/3 of the project revenue. This slide illustrates a schedule which shows the delivery of phase 1 in dark blue. Also, you can see a phase 2, which would be relying on 2 grants that we are currently pursuing. And finally, phase 3, which would be funded with bonds as shown in the bottom. This is the most optimistic scenario that shows a bond sale sometime in 2027. But right now we're focusing on a bond sale happening after phase 1 open. I'll pass it to Suhasini Natarajan now.
Thank you. Our federal partners in January of last year. One of the key provisions of this agreement was that SANDAG will procure the non-intrusive inspection, or NII, technology for the port operations. Now, what is NII? CBP uses NII to scan all vehicles that enter the port to detect contraband illegal items without having to unload them, or ensures security, enables faster processing for CBP, improves traffic flow within the port, and increases throughput. The picture you see on the right here is one with advanced release of the solicitation to procure NIN warranty and conduct intrusive inspection systems. The opportunity was advertised on BidNet on November 7th. The notice for the project was also sent out electronically to prospective bidders and published in newspapers. Virtually on November 20th last year. The bids closed on February 9th, 2026. 4 firms responded to the solicitation. All 4 proposals were deemed responsive to the solicitation requirements and were sent to the evaluation committee for review and scoring. The evaluation criteria included experience on similar projects. We also conducted risk checks for all the proposers. The committee conducted the review and shortlisted. The contract will have a term of 3 years with 2 option years to extend. And the funds for this project will come from Capital Improvement Project number 1201108. Work under this contract will also be completed in multiple phases and it will correspond to the construction phasing that Andrea just described. So the first phase will be to provide NII equipment and associated construction vehicles. Pending approval by the board today to award the contract, the next steps will have the infra grant.
So this is federal dollars that are being used for this procurement.
Very good. All right, we'll go to public comments. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very clear.
If you're online, please raise your hand now for public comment on item number 4. We have 3 in person and we have 3 online. First in person is Cesar Javier, followed by Truth. This is item number 4.
Thank you, Sandag. Thank you, Engineer Fish. I have a human detector. Engineer Fish, I think, is a qualified designer as far as implementing this project. From the public picture, we expect that there is some kind of lesson learned from the old western side. What lesson could we incorporate with this new site? Perhaps from the public, since this is America, what logo would we What logo? Perhaps a collection of contraband, illegal humans, whatever kind. Are these something like that from the perception? I understand some, but the rest underneath the iceberg.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
We'll wait.
Next is Truth, followed by allegedly Audra. This is item number 4.
Apparently Sandag is killing owls for Mexico. The phrase on slide 2 that says removal of border fence does not build trust with Sandag. The pictures show a project nowhere near completion, even though it was alleged to be done by the year 2024. Where's the tech for the GHG inventory and reduction plan? Because Maria said OMI will handle 12,000 cars and 1,500 diesel-powered trucks a day. This tech is really just an experiment of a project that San Diego County and the state is paying for on behalf of the federal government. So when Senate gives it to Trump, make sure to put a crown on top. Who's on the evaluation committee? $4.7 million to Smith's Detection. That was really the best choice because their parent company is Smith's Group, which is a communist party, CBC Capital Partners. This OME is ending up a handshake implementation of the group, Stop the Poops, sewage handling infrastructure tax across all border crossings. SHIT fits OME perfectly. Prove me wrong.
Allegedly Audra, followed by Paula Bold online.
On underground, can this technology look at the tunnels that are being dug under the port of entry, like tunnel that had ventilation and a track where you can just move humans and drugs back and forth, and they always go from Tijuana into Otay areas, and so I'm wondering if you're going to be making sure that one is not being would be like who in the government is either getting brought and working with these contractors and whatnot to get a little bit of extra money in your pocket. But it is very concerning that there are a ton of tunnels, and we sit here and we want to be like, we really want to make sure that we're like combating the drugs and human trafficking. You guys allowed it for years when they were climbing over the wall and dying right out at Dairy Mart, from a 30-foot wall is crashing to the ground. They were throwing babies over that too, but they're pretty resilient because, once they bounce, it's like their bones are a little bit more able to handle something like that. So, when you guys want to continue down this path with this charade, it's bullshit. The things that you guys do, the things that you guys ignore, and what you want to concentrate on, because you only care about the revenue, the billions of dollars that's going to be coming to and from Mexico, but you don't care about the people suffering in the Tijuana River Valley. So it's like, come on, let's be real here, and you guys are transparent. It's so sad.
Next is Paula Bold, followed by Blair Beekman online.
Thanks, Paula Bold. You haven't even begun the technology is sure to be out of date by the time construction is finished of the actual facility. Why not continue this item for a later meeting? Smith's Detection is based in England. One review I saw suggests poor training and support leads to customers leaving the company along with high costs. Another said engineering practices are stuck in the past. Any attempt to bring about positive change is resisted, and their equipment seems to be slow, not good for a busy port of entry. The review says Smith's detection machines are slow as molasses. SFO recently installed Smith's Detection, and holy shit, are those things slow. Everything from automated conveyor belts to actual scan takes forever. Lord have mercy, your bag goes for secondary screening. Half the time it just didn't scan right and they have to feed it in again. Now you company that makes better equipment, or you'll end up causing all the travel delays and congestion that you want to avoid. The presentation, thanks for including. So, you want to fund construction of just one building. Maybe you can get a loan from Mexico. They won't laugh at me. Slide 5 seems to show the freeway ending with one lane continuing in OME facility and one lane not linked to a new road.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Downtown Imperial Avenue Bikeway project. It's a really important project. Good luck we do it well. to mention on this item. I mentioned at a recent SANDAG meeting the importance of working towards good technology practices. Mr. Javier offered, what can we offer on this side of the border for the future of that area? Technology. The county of Santa Clara, they were the first in the country to do the tech surveillance ordinance thing. Second, maybe. Their cameras in their jail system because of the biometric test. They didn't want to.
Go ahead, Consuelo. Consuelo, you seem to be self-muted.
Here we go. Consuelo here, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say there are only a handful of people who are respectful to the public. If a hand is raised in the queue while the item is still being commented on or discussed, it should be honored. I mean, that's the decent thing to do. And people have to continue on with their lives again while taking the time out to make. Being said, Michael, I want to apologize if what I said hurt your feelings. That was
hard-fought funds, and whether we like it or not, Mexico is our #1 trading partner, not only for the state of California, but for the whole nation. And Otay Mesa is the second most important commercial crossing of our nation, so building a second commercial crossing in our state and our nation. We do not want 4,000 in Tijuana or the United States for 3-4 hours a day. I've been a part of the United States side of fixing this issue with expanding La Media Road in Otay Mesa. So we don't have 4,000 semi-trucks idling any given day for 3-4 hours. Very happy with that. I'm very happy to support
of SANDAG making a difference, not only for our region, but for California and for our nation. The freight that's going to be automated across this border crossing is incredible. And that's why I'm extremely supportive of moving this forward and doing what we need. Website, and I see their installations, it makes me think about building a system of that sort, because they have equipment that is working together with computers and all sorts of image processing. This is an incredible opportunity for delivery of this. The staff report says we went through the standard evaluation process. And so I'd like a little bit of a sketch of what the standard process is for a high-tech, important, critical technology provider like this, in an area where this is not SANDAG's expertise. And did they provide writers? A model, a computational model of the Otay Mesa East installation and demonstrate metrics and specifications such as capacity, volume, and speed of scanning. And many, many years ago, I worked at Texas Instruments and I wrote software, AI-based software in the 90s to configure process control systems.
Anybody can just go and put in for this job. They have to be based on all the specifications were actually developed for non-intrusive inspections is for Homeland Security. They're the ones who are going to own and operate the years. The team has actually gone in smart centers where, yes, AI, I don't think we're allowed to tell you all the details, but AI is heavily used on the images. The team went to Brownsville where the first pilot was done. I also went to Brownsville separately to look at it. So team, if you want to answer the questions.
Yes, thank you. Excellent questions, and we're happy to provide additional information. I'll start and pass it to Suhasini, our really one of our experts in this area. We've all had to become somewhat of semi-experts, not having done this before. The specifications for the technology come directly from Customs and Border Protection, and those were a critical component of the request for proposals. The vendors also needed to submit their non-disclosure agreements, which is typical. The vendor pool is quite narrow and quite competitive. We're confident that we got those vendors that are capable of doing this work, and each of them has had experience working directly with Customs and Border Protection, including Smith's Detection. The standard evaluation process you have a very good point, this was not typical, but the steps that we followed with our contracts and procurement department, having the evaluation committee, and the various steps that we took are part of the standard process that SANDAG follows. One key element, while we did not have Customs and Border Protection participate on our evaluation panel, we did have them on standby so that we could funnel any technical questions to them, anonymized, so that they weren't exposed to the vendor. They did not want to influence our decision, but we're very ready and willing to accept whichever vendor that we felt was most qualified, given that it is a narrow field and they have experience with all of them. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Suhasini to go through a few of the more technical elements of our contract, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all of your questions.
Thanks, Andrea. I think Andrea covered it pretty comprehensively. I'll just add a few notes here. When we put out the solicitation, it included a functional requirement, which is prepared by Homeland Security / CBP, and the functional requirements document was edited to meet the needs for Otay Mesa East project. So we marked up what is applicable, what is needed for this project, and we wanted the bidders to respond to those requirements. And we reviewed those edits with CBP prior to advertising to make sure that we are capturing what is being planned for this project. And not in the last 10 years, but in the recent 5 years or 3 years, so it is not too outdated. So we have for evaluation, and I don't know if I can, maybe for Smith's Detection, I can. References came out very positive, and they scored very high in our reference checks. Did they build a model? So the functional requirements is the first step to make sure that the system can be put together. And then as we work with them, we will be doing factory acceptance tests where they will demonstrate how the equipment will work. They will be like tests. And also CBP is willing to accompany us to these tests to make adjustments, give input on how these systems can be modified based on what they see at the accepted factory tests, which is the industry standard practice.
So is there any comparison across systems, to see whose equipment is faster? There are thresholds that they must meet, but at the same time, being able to improve their equipment over time, revise it. What kind of comparative analysis is done?
So we CBP is the holder of data, like Mario mentioned, it is sensitive information, so we don't have access to it. But through our questions through the references and sharing the information on the hardware that's being proposed and the software that's being proposed, we have received enough confidence.
So basically, council member, the clientele basis is CBP. That is the track record. And if there would have been an issue, CBP would have either directly or indirectly. Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe is the biggest border project in the northern border. We've been competing with them since 2008 because they also been pursuing their project. Michigan, the state of Michigan together on the Gordie Howe one. We actually helped them taught them how to get a presidential permit in 2008. So those are pretty big projects. Laredo is the busiest cargo facility in the southern border. So also CBP will not put any marbles on their most busiest cargo facility in the southern border. That leads us to believe, and CBP is comfortable with the decision of the company. And from a modeling perspective, it's more the specifications have the speed of the images to be generated. They get sent to the smart center, then they all get overlaid to get analyzed by AI.
Well, with that, I'm satisfied that we here at Sandag have done everything we can that this company. I feel satisfied with this, and I'm prepared to vote yes on this. Councilmember Fisher.
Thank you, Chair. Well, again, I'm with Councilmember Castleman. This is always one of my favorite subjects to talk about. My feelings go from time to time from being mixed. I'm glad to see the project moving forward. It was mentioned in the presentation that Phase 1 is going to be opening up the northbound passenger lanes. Is this something new? Because I don't remember hearing this before.
Yes, the idea, as Andrea was putting out, it will cost 1/3 of the project, which is the caching, 2/3 of the revenue. So what it will do, it will help us to delay bonding and basically open the facility with the cash in hand, and that's what we're presenting to the CTC, and thank you for Caltrans for all that support. That reduces the risk at this time of going for an early bonding, and it provides that baseline. Once we open up, it provides that we start generating real data of revenues and volumes that will most probably line us up for a better bonding deal. Because right now, so it's again for the agency and expedite the delivery.
No, I think it's a great plan for us because just to your point, Mario, it does provide some revenue coming in, helps us build for the future. Now on to what's at hand. So the technologies can be installed. Is it just one building's worth with a few lanes, or is it for all lanes?
This project, the plan is to have the non-intrusive inspection pre-primary, so before vehicles encounter the first CBP officer. No port, although it's a goal of CBP, no port yet has that implemented, so we're anticipating each lane to have the technology.
Because I know that the big long-term project plan is to have a huge expansion from the first lanes coming in. What is that going to be? Is it going to be scalable? I know that's a time that's going to be well off now, but is it scalable for this company to be able to do that? And integration is always tricky, I'm sure.
Yes, and
as the binational conversations happen, this is a project that's happening at the border, and I think the relationships are good. This is a project that's happening at the border, and I think the relationships are good, but the continued focus of
the grant funding and then the little more detail. I would have liked to have seen that discussion in the staff report, quite frankly. That's our issue here. That's what we're talking about. So going forward, I would like that. On the evaluation, on the evaluation team, what we have is a semi-secret. How do we have the expertise to properly evaluate a team that doesn't?
Technology would work. for a couple of years. While we invited CBP to participate on the panel, I think given that they don't own this yet, it's not really their procurement, and they have their own procurement methods, they felt more comfortable to not influence. It was a very competitive procurement, but we have them available to answer any technical questions and
specialize in that type of work. So there was a lot of specialize in that type of work. So there was a lot of information exchange we had to get up to speed with them. We also had many discussions with CBP on what is it that they, through that to, and documentation to compare and contrast. And like I mentioned before, one of the key criteria for us was that they have completed similar work. They have supplied this equipment for CBP, not any other border, specifically in the US land border, not even airports. So we made sure that they provided us examples of land border implementations that we could go back and check and ask more questions about.
Okay, so Andrea, you mentioned something about a contractor helping evaluate.
No, excuse me, I may have confused you there. What I meant, what I'm stating is that we are working with our construction contractor simultaneously with our design team to negotiate and implement construction packages. And they have excellent experience. We're a collaborative group, but the evaluation of the NII equipment did not include any consultant participation. Okay. It was SANDAG and Caltrans staff.
So if I look at the process of we're getting money, getting that money to Smith Detection, and then we're going to testing. Who is the expert that knows the systems if Smith Detection does not to the tolling system experience and which I didn't have to live through, but I can see from afar what happened. And I want to make sure that our liability, we're minimizing and understanding all the way along this value chain. And so if during CDP's acceptance testing, as really the true final customer, something goes wrong, I suppose it's in the contract then that we go back to Smith Detection. Is that, am I understanding that correctly? That we are we ultimately liable for a, and I'm going to be kind of a very high level, a poor choice in vendors?
If the vendor has, CBP has a acceptance criteria, like a checklist of things that they look for when they agree to approve the system to operate. If any of the tests criteria fail, they will be asked to cure it and redo the acceptance. So until an official acceptance from CBP is not cleared, that the onus will be on the vendor to meet those criteria.
And that helps me immensely. And I'm going to assume that all the contractual requirements are in our contracts with Smith Detection and whatever we have from CDP as agreement. So then the last area is it's big. That was discussion of partners and no discussion of whether that would have any sort of financial impact on Smith Detection's capability or focus on meeting this contract. I understand they have a history of doing stuff, but they just sold in December. In fact, it's not closed yet, but there was no discussion of that whatsoever. And anytime I'm doing a major purchase of a system like what Councilwoman Gasterman said, I always look at the financials of the company because I've had them go sideways. So any impact, has anybody looked at what the sale to CBC and the potential impact to Smith Detection is?
Contracts? Have you guys? I don't think we have tracked that, to be quite honest, Mayor. And contracts, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we just went basically with the pool because it's so limited, the pool that can actually do this equipment. We're kind of following CBP's Homeland Security prompts on that. I clearly understand the question.
It's one of the pool, but the others didn't have that. Potentially, it sounds like it wasn't taken into consideration.
We did receive financial documents, and those are reviewed. We coordinate with our financial team to review those documents. That information was not disclosed to us, so if that's something the board is interested in, we could definitely look into it more.
We should know. I mean, I looked a little last night, and certainly CBC is one of the large ones. They're a British-based private equity, but I'm no financial expert. So with that, I'll yield.
Thank you, Mayor Jones.
Thank you. I have a quick question. Thank you for the presentation, and I think I'm really glad to see that we're moving forward on this. I did see something on page 6 of the presentation that I do have a question about, and it shows that our passenger revenue is at about 64%.
Is that when this facility goes online, it's also going to reduce the wait times on the free facilities. I don't know if that answers the question. Everybody who would be using this facility would be told, and it's their decision, if they want to use it or they want to use Multi or San Isidro. Andrea, I don't know if you have.
I could add a little bit of context. The investment grade traffic and revenue study has a large survey component, and that establishes people's value of time. So people are asked what they would be willing to pay in order to save time. And so in the end, it's balanced out, and it appears that folks
to be online. The board is the one who's going to set up the toll ranges.
Are we getting the data from the folks that are coming across the border northbound already? Do we have like a QR code or something that's easy for them to, we want your feedback, we need your feedback sort of thing, or how's that working?
So the survey, the large the numbers now. The large survey component was completed. There's some editing methods that the survey.
I'm in favor of that. I guess I would just want the
quick question. So just comment. I think it is imperative that we have some decent questions. So just comment. I think it is imperative that we have some decent disclosures about which contractors we're using, especially if there's going to be gaps of information that we're not. With Smith's detection, it is good to know that I just looked. Detection, it is good to know that I just looked up in Laredo, Texas, like 4 days ago. They did a 3.
You wouldn't be up to 47 billion responses. Gave us specifications to use to do the RFP process. And then, if I understood correctly, and I may not, that they come in at the end and saying, okay, Standex says, here's the finished product. Do you, the end, and saying, okay, Standex says, here's the finished product. Do you accept it? They're going to run some kind of tests to see. About whether CBP is kind of providing some kind of support to Sandag in its management of the construction.
At CBP headquarters, we are working with their field operations team. We have been discussing about the control room, and one CBP just wanted to be process. They have a getting input from them on how they want the analyst areas, getting input from them on how they want the analyst areas, command center. And foundation modeling for these equipment, and there is CBP. We need CBP and to bless us, and that with CBP.
Hearing directly, so that should help in terms of our responsibility for managing the contract process, managing the costs that go in.
The contractor, all the subs, you say every piece of paper, whether it's the foundation we're doing, the electrical lines, the drainage things are all reviewed by everybody, which yes, impacts the timelines at some points, but everybody's on board before anything ever gets out and actually constructed in the field.
Okay, we're going to project manage the heck out of this. All right, that was the one piece that I wanted to focus on. So thank you very much for the work.
Sure.
Thank you, Clint and Andrea and Suhasini. We really appreciate your very thorough responses. And thank you to the board for very appropriate delving questions. I think that this has given us all a lot of confidence that this is going to be a much better experience than we have seen in the past. At this point, we have a motion by Moreno and a second by Yasterman. Please vote. Those who push their buttons, please push them again. We were a little bit too soon. Push them again. Carlsbad.
Councilmember Shin.
Okay, passes unanimously. Agency's recruitment and retention efforts. Josh.
Good morning. I am Joshua Volter, your Director of Human Resources. I am presenting the annual update on vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. The data in this report reflects FY 2026 year-to-date through March 27, 2026. This timing is intentional to allow the HR team sufficient time to validate and ensure reporting accuracy. The agency reduced the vacancy rate from 13.77% down to 12% over the past year, which is a meaningful improvement. Of the 56 vacancies, 21 are in various stages of recruitment. Attrition is 11% year to date, and we are anticipating closing the fiscal year at approximately 13 to 14%. This rate is consistent with last year, and the agency is sustaining the lowest attrition rates it has had over the past 5 years. Regarding our recruitment activities, the agency received about 5,000 applications, held 270 screenings and interviews, and onboarded 55 new employees during the time. We are seeing a significant increase in highly qualified candidate applications for the public sector. Both areas are experiencing heightened uncertainty, increased layoffs, and reduced open jobs, which we believe is driving more candidates to explore opportunities in local government public service. At this time, we understand this is also a factor in the agency's reduced attrition rate. We continue to leverage LinkedIn and other job boards such as governmentjobs.com, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and our NeoGov applicant tracking system to improve candidate quality and accelerate hiring. We are also sustaining outreach through 100+ community and institutional partnerships that share our job postings across the communities we serve. With respect to retention, the agency maintains competitive compensation and strong benefits package offerings. We will be launching an employee engagement survey in June to identify what is working well and where we can improve. The results of that survey will be reviewed with leadership, and action plans will be developed in early 2027 with clear ownership and follow-through expectations. We are also actively addressing gaps in our standard operating procedures, policies, and employee development to maintain effectiveness despite attrition. In closing, it remains manageable, and we will continue to make deliberate steps to strengthen our foundation and ensure continuity consistency, and accountability. And with that, I'm happy to answer the questions you may have.
Thanks, Josh. We'll go to public comments first. Michael?
Yes, if you if you're online and want to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand now. So we have 3 in person and 3 online. First is Cesar Javier, followed by Truth. This is item number 5.
We have been examining documents after documents, meetings after meetings, from Sandag County Air Pollution Control District, City Hall, smelling urine, that's a citation by Air Pollution Control District, and of course Sandag. Thank you, Sandag. We are learning. This is a very important item for discussion because the strength of the chain is the weakest link. And that weakest link is the 10 fingers intelligences. That must be. You know, when you are running for a political position, we do not scrutinize not much on your qualification. You just be a high school graduate, period. But Sandag requires something.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next is Truth, followed by allegedly Audra.
Thank you.
This is item number 5.
Hey, Ron. Overall today, I've been very unsatisfied on the multiple instances of a lack of transparency. Transparency deficiency is still a problem at this agency. This item, I didn't see it until Wednesday. Was that an act to make it look like Sandag needs more staff? Because those games don't work with me. Late attachers just tell me that somebody's either really inept at their job or they're just trying to manipulate opinions. So right at the beginning, staff have already failed at this item, and it's clear that the only help they need is the implementation of that long overdue training that this board approved of at the April 10th meeting, costing the county an additional $5 million justification. And I'm just assuming because the $5 million need the Building Construction Trades Council gets to train Sandag employees how to scam the taxpayers since they're experts at it. For vacancies, how about erasing all past mentions of racist DIE as a Sandag agenda? Because based on the evidence, it certainly didn't bring anybody good here. If anything, that worked this program contributed to Sandag's corruption. For recruitment, you need more people like Antoinette, Susan, and Goldie who properly explain what the heck is going on at this agency, rather than playing the obfuscation game or the personal or political agenda game like other employees have. Does Sandag reach out to public transit users for recruitment? You know, the people who wait forever to get nowhere fast and nowhere safely, yet you continue to push that form of transportation. 56 vacancies. How about just leaving the majority of the positions vacant? Because this is a bloated agency that has produced zero tangible results, even at its biggest bloat during 2019 to 2023. Sandag needs to cut the fat, aka our tax dollars, and use what's left for the safety and congestion projects that have been sitting for 30 years. That's like Lauren Cazares. That's a long time. But I'm going to say, Rebecca and Bruce, you did the best job today for sure. Judy, I guess you too. I enjoyed listening to you speak. I was trying not to smile and give it away that I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Next is allegedly Audra, followed by Nicole the Bold online.
I mean, we're doing all these things, but we're only going to look at some of them. You know, you guys hate Trump. Well, I mean, he's his financial advisor, Larry Fink, for BlackRock. So it's I'm just wondering why we are content giving all like this. That even the audit entity, the Tyler Technologies, BlackRock, Vanguard, we're just handing them over all this stuff, right? So that when they really want to bring the government to its knees, they can do it lickety-split. Just weird that you guys think about some things and not other things, and that you don't have people that go in and look at who you're contracting with and how this new entity, Smiths, was bought out. I mean, you wouldn't know it because they didn't change their name, you know, and they probably won't, but that's how they kind of do it. They got to keep people thinking that they're doing the same thing and they're going to bait and switch. And it's like, you know, we're giving them all of our biometrics with this AI stuff and the data that you guys want to collect on the people. We're just handing it over to them. How cool is that, to hand it over to people that have pretty much all the assets in their pocket? So smart. And it couldn't be more intelligent, I feel like. I mean, you guys should get a raise for doing that. I'm sure you get kickbacks in some way for doing it, or are you just that ignorant? Are you guys that stupid? Right? Because you're looking at me like a deer in headlights. What is she talking about? Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Let's just worry about Trump. Right? Very nefarious. Very. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves.
Next is Paul LeBold online, followed by Blair Beekman. This is item 5.
Okay, DHS vetting directors for non-intrusive inspections? What a joke! So, San Diego has 56 vacancies, but over 4,000 applications. You need a better checklist of requirements. Maybe you'll realize you don't need them at all. Make the process quicker. One of the vacancies may be for a report writer who can actually write reports on time. Maybe the new generation of report writers doesn't know how to virtue signal, or maybe agree that it doesn't belong more than ever. With all of becoming financial and other challenges, new, fresh, and innovative ideas brought by new staffers. So I hope that this is what the R&R efforts are focused on. Maybe you can fill some of these vacancies with members of this board who would then have the advantage of experiencing staff work from a new angle. Thanks.
Our next public comment is Blair Beekman, followed by Consuelo.
Hi, thank you, Blair Beekman. Yeah, sorry for my final words in the previous public comment. I'm sorry I said come on. I shouldn't have said those words. It sounds uncomfortable to me now. And thank you very much to Council Board Person Moreno, who wisely mentioned that I think the best practices that we can offer, like with tech accountability issues at the border, can be of great service to Mexico itself and develop much better conversations and on a number of issues. So good luck on best practices with tech with Mexico. Yeah, with that said, with this new, what you're asking how people can be employed in the future of SANDAG and its procurement process. In San Jose, where I was living previously, I mean, they were making the efforts that and how they hired their future, and a democratic process and a shared process to define public safety. Community and our public safety, it's intertwined, and for so our accountable to the public. And the way tech accountability works, it can help many other fields develop more open, accountable practices. I mean, all the stuff we're talking about accountability today, tech accountability can have a major learn, and that it's an effort of learning to work.
Time has expired. Next is Consuelo, followed by our last public comment, Andrew Ebbing. Go ahead, Consuelo.
Okay, Consuelo here. So, amen to Audra, especially. I like that diet part. And the detox, I'd add. They don't know, yeah, and just to respond to what you said, yeah, they don't know what you're talking about, because they're all just doing their jobs, trying to climb the political ladder backwards, down to the bottom, where the other bottom feeders in politics who continue to assist in enslaving the people struggling to survive the system.
This is item 5.
She knows. Yep. Okay. 5. Reporting accuracy is what was said, right? Yeah, nice. If only this was really the case. It feels like Sandag is always taking the most time and money and fixing things that continue to go wrong. It's broken, so stop trying to fix it. One of the guys stated he prefers working with numbers better than with humans. Yeah, that says a lot. I feel really good hearing that. That's not good. That's not okay. Your guys' job is to work with the public and to be there in service to the public. And hearing people say things like that, no bueno. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Last public comment is Andrew Ebbing. This is item 5.
Hi, it's Andrea Ebbing. I think 56 openings, that's a lot of openings for Sandag. Hopefully we don't come up with a plan to just slide over Gloria's firings into those positions, because we know that those are really dirty people. I think what we should do is take a note from the Rico Enterprise and operate how they operate, because they're actually extremely criminal, and they like to do it right in your face, but they're so smart about how they do it that you don't realize it's happening until like a very long time after. So what we should do is get some really good applicants from the media to get in there, get some good applicants from the IRS, get some good applicants from the FBI, get some good applicants from the DOJ, the DEA, National Security, I don't know, whatever the deal is to automate the freight trucks from OTI. I think we need to get some really good undercovers hired in low-level and high-level and mid-level positions from all of the fiercest, most intense agencies and exposure opportunities in the world, and they can gather intel and basically torpedo this Rico enterprise that's operating. And I think it should all be done under Rebecca Jones, because she seems to be the only one that really cares about transparency, and she's the only one that's really standing up to what's going on. So again, for the 100th time, I just really appreciate, Rebecca Jones, your candor and your constant asking. But yeah, I mean, don't lose any sleep at night, because you never know who your next assistant is going to be, or your next auditor, or your next mid-level manager. Hopefully it's somebody with a good amount of guts and a good amount of exposure opportunities and a good method of reporting the malfeasance that they find and holding you guys accountable. Thank you.
That concludes our public comment on this item, Chair.
Okay, any member comments? Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So I heard you state that there were 5,000 applicants, 240 were screened and interviewed, and you also stated that there's an increase in highly qualified candidates, but that also gender packet in that they just contradict one another a little bit. I'm on page 43. In terms of, it says down by the screening committee, so it says the current pool is insufficient to fill an increase of highly qualified candidates, but then it states that we don't over here, and you're requesting to extend. Just a comment. Oh gosh, you know what? I'm on 3.6. I apologize for that. Thank you.
But council member, I think the big piece here is, Josh has to give this report on where we are, recruitment, all that. What we are seeing is that whenever we put certain recruitments, it's not always across the board. We're seeing an extremely high amount of qualified people across the board, and a lot has to be done because in other areas there's been cuts or departures, especially in the federal government. So that's a phenomenon that we are seeing huge numbers of applicants, which is excellent. And it does take a little bit more time to screen and all that, those applicants there. But that's kind of where we're going. We're trying to maintain the agency status quo, the numbers of it. Probably in the future, once we do more analysis, maybe attrit a little bit more through natural attrition. I think also the departures have been going down. It's still not to the point where we would like it, but there was a period in time that people leaving the agency was high, and now we're seeing a little bit lower, so that leads us to believe that our being an agency that is attractive in retention, even dynamics with the board, it's creating a much better work environment for our employees, and therefore we see the reduction of the departures, of the attrition numbers. So I don't know, Josh, if you want to add anything there.
I think you said that perfectly, and then I think the engagement survey is where we're going to get more information and be able to use that to improve even more.
Very good. First Vice Chair LaCava.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Josh, for the work. This kind of annually mandated reporting going forward. We can always thank Sacramento and make us do more work that may or may not be productive, but here we are. To some of the issues that were raised by the public, the 56 vacancies were based on the FY26 budget and the information you have today. Can you kind of speak to those 56 vacancies relative to the FY27 budget that we just adopted? Are all those vacancies carried to FY27, or did we make any changes, or can you know?
They will carry over to the FY27 budget. You will see a very slight change to total headcount in the final budget for FY27. And then they're across the agency. They're in various departments, and they are managed on a bi-weekly basis with the executive team, taking a look at those vacancies, thinking of them as openings against the request to recruit. And so we're always reallocating based on agency needs. So it's a very dynamic situation, but we are seeing improvements in that total number of vacancies going down.
Yeah, you raise a good point. A vacancy that was anticipated during the budget adoption may not be one that we're actually trying to fill based on the needs of the organization. And Mario, thank you for making your comment about what I think hopefully all of us have seen, that Sandag is pivoting to be an employer of choice. And that really speaks to the executive team, to the board members, and how we're operating now. And so that's huge. That's really going to be key to the success. So thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you. If no further discussion, there's no action to be taken on this. I will adjourn this meeting until May 8th at 9 a.m.
Goodbye. You have a good one. You stay. No, you stay. I know you're going to get it. Hope everybody's having a good day. It's always. Yeah, me too.
So, way to go. So, way to go.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
All right, zoom zoom. I am. Exactly, and you leave, so you can leave. And that's fun. That's funny. All right, you guys, I'm getting kicked out by the police. Just joking.
Security.
I know. The pretend police. No. The police are just security guards anyway. You know what I mean? It's all a racket. All right, bye guys. I'm out of here.